So let's talk about Jesus. Okay. Oh, don't worry. It's not going to be the type of conversation that you think this might be, whoever you are, when you happen to log in onto this video. Just so you know, I do lives whether or not folks are in the live or not. I started creating content many moons ago. And once I was allowed to go live on various different platforms, I went on and I went full throttle, full gusto, as if I had the trillion people in the room, in the internet room, if you will. And that's my personality. That's who I am. I started creating with that kind of heart, and I'm going to end creating with that kind of heart. So for those of you who wonder, that's the reason why I'm able to talk the way I talk. I'm not talking, I'm talking to the energies that will see this when they see it. And I know how to have presence even when the room is empty, because my energy is not contingent upon if I have a full room. Okay? Now, that's for somebody. Now, bear with me here. So now, this is not going to be from a religious perspective necessarily, but maybe for some of you. Now, when I'm referencing Jesus, I'm referencing the stories that those of us that have studied the Bible or know the Bible or remember the stories we hear. If you look at it from symbolism or you look at it literal or you have whatever it is, but we're going to talk about what's presented. Okay, what is presented in the text. But what if I told you there's a whole lot of elements of absolute truth that is convoluted? Now, I need to say viewer discretion is advised. I'm not an extremist either way it goes. That's why I honor my journey too. If I can't emphatically prove something one way or the other, then I'm not going to try to state it as fact if I can't prove it's fact, even if it is fact. Okay? Yeah. In the Bible, which was pulled from other texts, Eastern philosophies and things of that nature, that's what we don't know. We also don't know that Jesus, even in the scriptural sense that we reference, actually went to these various places and learned stuff. That's another day in another video. Okay? Now, I want to talk about this from a quantum and energetic perspective. That's why I have what if ... Many of us, even myself back in the day when I was studying and reading and, we would hear sermons preached and some of my favorite ministers or pastors would reference certain things. Like he was quiet because he didn't feel like arguing with folks. Yeah. He's like, why do you ask me questions? You seek to entrap me, bitch. But he wouldn't have said that. I'm just being silly. But I'm thinking of some of the sermons over the years, and we would laugh because, it would be this reference of, he did this because he was tired. He knew they was up to bullshit. He knew... he knew that it wasn't sincere, that they would be provoking him because they wanted reaction and they wanted to entrap him and they wanted to make a fool of him and a mockery of him. And they wanted to get him in the vein of needing to prove himself and all of that. Okay, that's what we were kind of taught, kind of like, okay, he was quiet because he just didn't, blase, blase. But what if it's quantum? When you start learning about the invisible world of energy and these tethers and these cords and this unseen world, and how it operates and how it's affecting dynamics, affecting us, our mind, body, and soul, as well as just everything else, right? Interaction. Those are invisible cords, and consent is via the exchange. It's not via saying, I consent. You consent as you exchange. This is why a lot of forced exchange is arranged. Okay. Now, what if I told you? Yeah, throat chakras clear up good and plenty. What if I told you some of the stuff we were told in Sunday, Sunday sermons and stuff like that, about Jesus choosing to be quiet is true. That's part of the truth. Why argue with fools? They were asking only to entrap. You know, da 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 da. Because I mean, those are some of the proverbs. Those are some of the other texts that we see throughout the Bible, right? It's don't argue with the fool, or at least you get trapped. Old English. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. And then he get annoyed. He was getting annoyed because he could perceive. I perceive you are attempting. He knew. So that's truth. It's like, okay, no, you're trying to entrap me. You ain't. No, don't even go there. No, you're trying to make a fool out of me. You're trying to give me argon. That's what you're trying to give me argon. You're trying to make a fool of me. You're trying to get me upset. You're talking in circles. You're trying to provoke my ego. You're trying to provoke me to feeling like I need to prove something, and I don't, and I do not, and I do not. You're not presenting a sincere inquirer. So I ain't gonna talk to you. I'm gonna stand here and look stupid. So that was a part of it. I do believe in this metaphorical sense, and I actually do believe that in essence the actual Jesus. I'm not going to get into that on this video. That's a whole nother series. Okay, that the one, the blue. What if I told you? What if I told you that in part him choosing to be quiet in certain incidences, because he didn't always, okay, but in the incidences where people was asking certain questions, and for whatever reason in that situation he chose to not answer them, when he was being persecuted, when he was tied up, when there were certain incidences where he just wouldn't say nothing. He just wouldn't answer. And that's because his response would have been consent. He would have been creating a contract, an energetic cord in that moment via, not because it's not by his presence, it's via his mouth, because that's where our power is. By his mouth. If he exchanged, that's the invitation. For a thread. Somebody's going to say, what kind of invitation? An energetic thread. And what can be done in an energetic thread? Well, there's a whole lot that can be done. You accept and take on that person's energy. They take some of your energy. Depending on the individual, they could be doing some swappy, switchy wop. It's a cord. And when you respond, that is the contract. Even though it's temporary, but it has an effect. What if I told you that he was an energy master? He was a master. He was a master. What if I told you he studied Reiki in the East? Oh. What if I told you he studied Reiki? The one. See, I have to, I go back and forth because I am now in the know. It's taken me a trillion years and I'm still unfolding stuff. But the reason why I keep going back and forth is because I am now in the know that there is a mimicry version of things and then there is the truth. I am now aware that certain stories was implemented, added, certain things were taken. I'm aware of the assassination. You heard me say it correctly. You heard it right. And that just fucks up all our little, but I'm going to just leave that alone because we're not ready for that video. Not right now. This video, we're talking about the beautiful parables and principles that most of us come to know and love. And we used to, get a good laugh out of some of our favorite ministers when they start talking about, Jesus getting quiet and leaning down and writing on the ground because people were stupid. One of the ministers that I grew up under, I'm going to say from my 20s, I was strong in their ministry, traveled with them and all that stuff. But one of the things he used to say, he was a funny one. Oh, he was out of the ones I've had. I think he was like the most funny one I had. So he said he was taking names like he was leaning down. Right, people's names. I was talking shit. Because it was people basically being judges since from Judginston, Judginsville, while they was in the district. It's like, oh, you got evidence all over your body. I need you to be quiet, But he would lean down and not say nothing, right, and write stuff. But there's several stories of him choosing. There's times where he would wild out, and there's times where he chose to not say nothing. And then there was times that he chose to just disappear. Like he wouldn't engage. Like now you see him, now you don't. I told you this is quantum. What if I told you it's energetic? What if I told you he was in mastery? He had been training. He had went to the East. He went different places. It's a lot we don't know. And he was learning about that, and some of the principles included when you're mastering your energy and when you're being baited. You're being baited in. You're being provoked, as the Pharisees did. That was their favorite pastime. Let's provoke this Jesus of Nazareth. We are thus and thou and so and forth. Folks don't even know that they're the modern day Pharisees. I love that shit too. I love it because I think it's the most ironic and fascinating thing. That's how I feel. I'm like, it's ironic that people don't even realize that's what they are as they read the very text that they're reading. Child. I've been saying that kind of thing for some years though, because I used to be like, back then, I'm sure they thought they were absolute too, and they was absolutely wrong. They was absolutely wrong. You couldn't tell them because they had the bomb robes that you can have in the day. They had all of the scrolls. One of the pastor that I grew up under, he used to say Sadducee, because it was Pharisee and Sadducee. He was like, you sad, you see, sad, you. Anywho, that's the nature of humanity. You know, that's my opinion. That's the nature of us. In these moments, sometimes if we're not very open people, or understanding that there's a vastness to this experience, we have a tendency, we have a tendency to be absolute in our thinking. I'm guilty once upon a time anyway, until I started kind of like, my eyebrows are, starting, well, okay. I mean, I could be wrong. They could be wrong. Okay. That absolute. But they were absolutely wrong, even in the biblical sense in which we reference. But if we can put ourselves there, it's the same thing. We're reading from the backdrop. So can you imagine being a Pharisee or a Sadducee in that time? You got all the bomb shit. You got the scrolls, the first, you got all the stuff and then because you from the lineage of the Leviticus, and all, just picture it. Like, be real with that though, like for real. Can you smell the pretension rising? I can smell the pretension. I'm being honest. Like, I'm trying to put myself there without the backdrop knowledge. It's easy to say something from the backdrop of everything, but putting myself there in real time without the backdrop knowledge, I can smell my nose. I can see my nose rising up above, I can almost see the pretension. It's like, I am of the lineage, the Israelites, the 12th house. I can smell my pretension growing right now. I can smell. I can see me walking right now. It's like, it's like, you stupid bitch. You stupid. He in your face, you stupid. You stupid. And here I'm walking. I am the second of Abraham. Excuse me, Jesus. A cord. We're always creating cords. It's unavoidable, by the way. So I'm not saying anything here to provoke fear, because that's another trick, trap, and what's used as well. Because we're all doing it. I mean, that's the nature of the experience that we're in. We're all doing it. It's unavoidable. If you're not a monk in a monastery and and even then, if there's other monks, then you're, you know what I'm saying? We're all doing it, creating energy and invincible energetic tethers. And he could have been trying to work on mastering himself, mastering his energy, maybe trying to work on reactive abuse. Because he had his wild out moments like, black version. Like he had that picture. It's like, wilding out today. Okay, I gotta go back to the east so the masters help me learn this. Help me learn this so I can master my shit. It's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not giving you permission. I don't have to. I don't have to. I'm in your presence. I may be forced physically to be right here. But I do not have to. No, I don't. You can be pretentious and waving your threats, and you're doing all of your things. Okay, very well. Today I'm not going to wild out. I'm working on my mastery right now. Today I'm not going to give you no energy. I'm not going to feed. I'm not going to feed you. I'm starving you in your face. Damn. That one just hit me. It's like, well, he must have got to a good level. I ain't all the way there yet. You know, he was practicing quantum energetic management of himself, trying to keep his energy clean, trying to keep his boundary, because see, it was a boundary he was creating. He could have been repairing, clean his energy, repairing, basically learning Reiki and some other shit. It's like, we're not even gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. Okay, I'm not gonna do this because I'm not gonna do this. Mm-mm. Now, this is just something for y'all to think about. Like I said, this is from an energetic perspective. There's so much more I want to say, and so much I will say as time proceeds. And I'm not here I don't claim absolutes. That's something that I should possibly get on a t-shirt, to possibly put it on the banner of my platforms. I don't claim absolute. I think it's arrogant for any of us to do that. Somebody will say, well, I know what I've experienced. I know what I've experienced as well, but I also know the trickiness of the human mind and what's been being done with it as well. Things are real to us. Have you guys ever wondered, when we've heard stories and have read things in the news over the years, back when newspapers were still a thing? But anywho, the olden days, man, where you would get a newspaper and your coffee. Oh, I'm telling the age. Because the youngest would be like, newspaper? You mean my sidekick? I'm just saying. Anywho. Have you ever wondered? Maybe I'm not supposed to say that part. Just bear with me. I gave intention before I came on. Okay, so let me finish and wrap this up. Asking questions that once upon a time we didn't ask. When we think of Jesus, or what we were taught just in life, quantum, what if? Because that's the real heart of this discussion. What if there are elements of truth hidden in plain sight? There's chords that we're all connecting with one another all the time, and it has an effect. And we're working on mastery. You're working on trying to create boundaries. You're working on trying to clear your energy. You're working on being non-reactive, because you learn that you start to learn over time that it only feeds it, where your energy goes, where your attention goes, And so I believe metaphorically, and maybe even literally, in terms of the actual Jesus, it was his attempt to own his energy, his focus, trying to put it in something fruitful and productive. And when it's not fruitful and productive, and it's designed to get him quantumly entangled, energetically, even to siphon. What if? Just play with it. Now, even if we were to fast forward into today, into the various things that we're taught, whether it's in therapy, new age, self-help stuff, it's this whole thing, especially survivors of narcissistic abuse, which is essentially what he was dealing with, narcissists. If you're somebody who leans into that story, well, at the end of the day, that they didn't have the DSM-5 then, nigga, but that's what it was. Okay. Huh? He was dealing with narcissists. Religious narcissists, the worst ones. Okay? Because it's a lot of pretension with it. It's a lot of, with that kind of narcissism, there's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of that vibe that comes with it. Very abusive. Now, I just thought about what it is that I'm supposed to say. I love it. Have you all ever wondered why in a cult, I was talking about newspapers, right? Back in the day, reading stuff, knowing stuff. Why, when you look into the history of all these things, like none of the people ever be thinking they're in a cult? Like one of the common threads of all these different types of cults is that the cult members, in the time in which they're in it, they do not believe. In fact, they will go to bat and damn near try to kill you in some cases if you imply such. And I think we have all missed the point of it. And I say we because the whole thing about a cult is brainwashing is involved. Conditioning is involved. And if you do your own research on even how all of that is formulated, then you see it as, broken down. Oh, it is something that is woven into a person via abuse and the abuse cycle, via conditioning, via repetition, via coercive control tactics. It's a whole gambit of things that comprise of that. Because have you ever wondered, like, why they never be thinking, the whole motherfuckers don't think they in a cult? Like, how is that possible? How? It is. Because it's a spell. a spell in the form of conditioning. You can, you abuse somebody enough, you give them enough trinkets, you keep them on the abuse wheel cycle, boom, boom. So that's how you keep them hooked. That's why they're not going to want to let it go. That's why they're willing to be scared and terrified, yet don't want to go, because, you get benefits. You get benefits with a game. Don't mean it's good. Now, why am I saying that? Because in this discussion, we're talking about food for thought and just being willing to look at something from a quantum and an energetic perspective. I'm not here to argue absolutes with people. I said that about 25 minutes ago. It's arrogant and presumptuous, I feel, I believe. That's me. So I'm not here to argue absolutes. I'm here to provoke thought. Is it too outlandish to think that there is an energy world that we were not told about? Is that too off the map for us to be able to consider and chew?
Imagine a sniper hiding a mile away.
Once upon a time, as a race, a species of beings, we didn't know that certain germs existed, because we didn't know. We didn't have the technology, or we didn't have the access to the technology and the means to be able to know. And so once upon a time, we didn't know about certain germs. It didn't mean that we were bad when we didn't know. It just means we just didn't know. And out of that not knowing, we behave very ignorantly. Some cases, very brutally. When people were, having seizures, we thought that they were demon possessed, and treated the poor suffering person in a certain way because of it.
It refers to wood from a tree that was literally struck by lightning and died standing.
I say it all the time, ignorance is not always bliss. And simplicity shouldn't be equated to ignorance.
The wood is fundamentally changed,
because that's just lazy.
Being a biological object and becomes a battery.
Sometimes ignorance, simplicity, those are not one of the same. And if we, that's the cost. It's costly. It's costing lives every day. Ignorance
is the opposite. It is the occult equivalent of a bug zapper. The philosophy behind this magic is fascinating because it deals with the concept.
Because out of that ignorance, people then make decisions, don't they? They make judgments, they make assumptions, and they make choices off of those judgments and assumptions, huh?
They send negative energy down that wire to make you sick, unlucky, or confused. Most people try to cut the wire, but masters who wield the thunderwood utilize a different strategy. They use that invisible connection as a conductor.
We can still hold on to whatever it is we want to believe until we're ready to not believe it. And I believe that statement is possibly one of the kindest statements you all are going to hear from anybody. Because we get there when we get there. It's your journey. And we're all the same in the respect that when in the now moments, we typically are holding to what we're holding on to or what we believe until otherwise. Whenever that happens in any now moment. Once upon a time at age 10, blah, blah, blah. Age 20, blah, blah, blah. Age 30, blah, blah, blah. Age 40, blah, blah, blah. Age 50, blah, blah, blah. Like, that applies to everything, though, not just chronological aging.
If they open a door to send bad energy your way, the thunderbolt wood kicks the door open and floods their room with blinding, scorching heat.
Cognitive dissonance is our brain. It's a survival mechanism.
It isn't about
It's the result of trauma.
emotional sense. It's about physics. If you touch a live wire, you get shocked.
So it's not about being
It's just
bad. It's a mechanism, a human design.
turns your aura into that live wire. It makes you dangerous to touch. It solves the problem of the remote attacker because you don't need to know who they are. You don't need their name.
Have you even tested? And see, I would encourage you all to test some stuff. I love being my own science project, my own guinea pig.
With the force of a storm.
Test some stuff.
The thunderbolt wood is sharp.
I'm not talking about in a wicked, evil, malicious type vibe. I'm just saying, as an observer in your life,
Like the sun burning off a morning mist. It is the ultimate heavy artillery.
with certain exchanges, are you able to feel into your body or sense into your body? What are you noticing with certain exchanges? And then when you don't exchange, what do you notice? When you kind of hold your energy, are you able to notice or gauge anything?
We have prepared a specific audio track designed to resonate with this power.
Yes, some stuff we will have to engage. I just said that. This is not about promoting fear. It's not about promoting unhealthy isolation. I'm going to put it that way. It's about knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, knowing when to walk away. And I think the example of Jesus in the scriptures, in the moments in which he decided he didn't want to talk. Sometimes people are doing recon. Hell, he could even figure, again, the lack of their intentions. He would, there are times where he would respond and say, I perceive your intention. You say blah, 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 but I can perceive. Basically, he was saying, I can discern. And you know what I find fascinating? Ooh, I done got off track, but this is going to be a good statement. Just hold on. You know what I find fascinating? Even for those who may still be on this path and they hold near and dear to the scriptures and, story of Jesus and blase, and how we supposed to be like him and you the church and you got the Holy Ghost and do. They ain't saying he crazy for talking about he discerned. They not calling him a nut. Well, the Pharisees and Sadducees was, They did. They called him a demon. They called him a madman. But in Christianity today, we don't reference him as such for discerning them niggas' real intent. Uh-oh. Ain't nobody that's in that belief system daring to say that Jesus was tripping when he was talking about he discerned their intentions and their motives. He perceived their thoughts. And if we're the modern day Jesus, or, you know what I'm saying, those who, y'all know where I'm going with this now, folks who are claiming they're filled with the Holy Spirit, or, they got their ace boom coon with Jesus and all that stuff. And so if that's the case, then, because did he say, like, you'll do greater than me? When I leave, I'm sending you the comforter. They weren't trying to put him in a nut house. You know what I'm saying? Or, well, hell, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, yeah. And Jesus didn't have a home of his own. See, I'm finna just make it bad for a whole lot of folk. I know I am, because it's like, okay, you believe that, and you're proud to have that association, but modern day people going through that, you want to call them a nut. and you want to put them in the nut house. It said he don't have a house. What did it say? he haveth this nowhere to layeth thine head. Uh-oh. He didn't have an Escalade. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ooh-wee. It's getting good. I can feel the fire. I can feel the fire now. Because look, now we got to fast forward now. They called him a madman. They said he was a demon, or something like that. They called him that. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. According to the own book that we read. Yes, it did. Yes. He didn't have no friends. He had nowhere to lay his head. But people was always wanting something from him. People was always wanting to be in his energy for him to not have nothing. People was always trying to set him up. People was always trying to use him. People misunderstood him. People either idolized him or brutalized him. And he didn't want to eat neither. Provocation of thought. Because when we fast forward to 2026, people that are displaced are looked upon as less than, but the people that's upholding Christianity don't look at Jesus as less than. There's a pride associated with that. And so then what happened to, why is it the targets get targeted and claimed to be a nut for speaking the way Jesus actually spoke? Isn't that fascinating? For saying that they know people's intentions and motives, then they want to, put them under some kind of surveillance. So for those of us that are still on that path, how do you reconcile these gaps and these things where it's honored when it's referencing Jesus, but then when you look at real time people and true to life, you're Pharisaic in nature? I love referencing these things because it's like, how do people reconcile some of this stuff is what fascinates me. In the book, yes, I'm aware of what they're doing. I can perceive the spell work. In the text, even if you wanted to use it as just, wisdom principles that they claim to uphold, in the text, somewhere in the text, it says, what you've done to the least of these, you've done also unto me. You've done, it didn't say what you've done to your fellow Christian, you have done also unto me. It didn't say what you have done unto your mother and father, your sister, your brother. You know, it didn't just reference that, though there's references for that, but it didn't just reference that. It says what you've done to the least. And that's giving a quantification of, nigga, who you feel like is less than you. Who you feel is beneath you, the least of these. What you have done to the least of these, the ones you think is a simpleton, the ones you think is the town idiot, the one that you think is an invalid, the one that you think is not that important because nobody cares for them, so it ain't gonna matter how you treat them anyway. It didn't say what you have done to the least of these, when people can see it, you've also done unto me. It didn't say that either. What you have done to the least of these that folks can find out about, you have also done unto me.
Imagine a sniper hiding a mile away, aiming directly at you.
No, the least. In other words, what you've done to your enemy, you've done to me.
They are hiding. In the world of the occult, this is exactly how a remote.
What you've done to those you don't understand, those you don't agree with, those that you don't like, those who believe differently than you and I, you've done unto me.
Most protection magic works like a it waits for the bullet to hit and tries to stop it. But there is a specific.
So I'm not, the real me is not the one inspiring you to kill.
To take out the sniper. This is the lore of the Maifapa, the Thunderbolt Wood retribution.
I'm not the one. I don't want no credit for that.
So dangerous and effective.
Excuse me.
You have to look at the material itself. The Thunderbolt Wood isn't just.
I ain't inspiring nobody out here to be no weirdo stalker, no killer, and doing no ritual abuse on my fuckers.
In the eyes of Time Masters, this isn't just timber anymore. When a bolt of lightning, billions of volts of pure celestial energy slams into
That's
a
the other
what
stuff.
is fundamentally changed. It stops being a biological object.
But we're not going to go there. It's
It
okay.
instantly absorbs the raw, destructive.
I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to start saying it with all my videos. I don't have hate in my heart like that.
Light and total devastation.
People are
In
people.
place of amulets and talismans,
And if you're a decent person, you should be treated decently. You have a right to feel and think how you want to feel and think as you evolve through your own life journey. Hopefully, you're holding honor for yourself and other people,
This magic is fascinating.
no matter the
The
difference.
concept of connection. When a sorcerer casts a curse at you from a distance, they have to establish a link. Think of it like a wire connecting.
But this whole world of
They
energy,
send negative energy down that wire to make you sick, unlucky, or confused. Most people try to cut the wire, but masters
what if a lot of stuff is quantum?
utilize a different
And the
strategy.
world don't recognize that. And back, those days he went to the East to study. I can only imagine, how,
It moves faster than
it's like, okay, it's annoying. I can only imagine, like, okay, this is annoying. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. You deal with a bunch of fucking know-it-alls.
It channels that dormant lightning energy and shoots it back down the connection the attacker.
And then they want to drain my ass and then make it seem like I'm the goddamn problem. Like I'm the demon
The
incarnate.
stories surrounding this material are intense. There are accounts of black magicians whose altars have inexplicably cracked or
I can only imagine. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be quiet because I need to preserve my damn energy.
it is described not
This is
as
futile.
as in the wall, but
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it creates a perimeter of high voltage spiritual
cream energy. Like, listen, this whole time that I've been on here, I know they're doing spiritual work.
energy your way.
I can feel it.
Kicks the door open and
I can tell the energy shifts. I know what's being used with the social media, with the internet in general, on top of those who are trolling.
It isn't about revenge.
I'm gonna deal with it.
It's
I've been dealing with it.
If you touch a live wire, you get shocked. It's not personal. It's
There's
just
already a shift.
electricity. My fa turns
It ain't the divide. It's already sure. I'm sure they feel it.
It makes you dangerous to touch. It solves the problem of the remote attacker because you don't need to know who they are. You don't need their name. The lightning knows the way. It follows
We're in mastery.
right?
And I invite folks out there, let me rephrase that. I encourage folks, if you feel so guided,
The energy
okay?
of the
If not, it's okay.
sharp, weighty,
Beauty of social media.
commanded by authority. It clears the air.
Put a pin and you can go back to your normal obsessions.
Bad luck, like the
But
sunburn
you're not gonna die
mist. It is the ultimate
if
artillery for spiritual warfare.
you give yourself permission.
Defense.
For 10 minutes only. You can even set the clock if that helps you feel secure.
To tap into this specific frequency of
For 10 minutes, I'm gonna give myself 10
the mind
minutes.
must be aligned with
No
that
judgment to
spiritual
myself or nothing to nobody else. I'm just gonna give myself
We have prepared a
10
specific audio track
minutes
designed
to
rescue
dare
this power.
to think.
Listen to the thunderbolt of retribution chant now, and let the sound of the storm clear your path.
Maybe I'm gonna do 10 minutes of research. Maybe I'm gonna sit with it and just see how it feels. How can it get better than this? More blissful than this? Greater than this? What kind of experience in life, if you and I knew that there is choice, what greater consciousness could you, me, our mind and bodies be if we owned? How can it get better than this, blissful than this, more happier, wholer, true, and sovereign than this? How clearer? How does it get clearer than this? More spacious than this? More healthy than this? More loving than this? More kind than this? Kinder? More compassionate than this to ourselves and others. And that starts with daring to think, daring to ponder other possibilities.